G'day Gorgeous, and welcome to the podcast that is dedicated to turning entrepreneurial women into a millionairess from the inside out and enriching lives for generations to come. This week's question is from Suzette. Amanda, I am working full-time from home because of the global crisis, but I can't seem to stay focused. I like my work, but I'm not as motivated like when I'm at the office with my team. I really miss the interaction and I'm worried things won't go back to normal. Please advise. Right now, Suzette, I would say this is a question on millions of people's lips right now. And in today's podcast, I am going to give you 10 golden tips to help you all get through this uncertain time, no matter what position you hold. The Gday Gorgeous podcast is where you're going to get real, raw, and relatable stories, guidance, proven formulas that can help you overcome your frustrations and your fears and live a life that you truly love every day. I'm Amanda Clarkson. I'm a best-selling author, inspirational speaker, entrepreneur, and a millionairess mentor. And if you love the idea of being a millionairess too, pop over and visit us at gdaygorgeous.com or click in the link in the notes below. And today you will absolutely need your journal. Have a nice cup of tea because I'm going to give you some gold today to help anyone pass through this global crisis the best way possible. Good morning, gorgeous millionairess, and welcome to podcast number 47. I can't wait to share some ideas with you today. I'll give you a moment to jump on and to join me because it's such a pivotal time in our life right now and so important to stay connected. I always say band together to rise together because we're worth it. I've got a great session this morning which I'm looking forward to sharing with you, and I think I'm just going to get started. So girls, turn to a page in your journal because I'm going to give you 10 different steps to being able to stay focused right now. Millions of people have lost their jobs. Millions of people are forced to work from home, and perhaps for the very first time ever. And working from home has its positives, and working from home certainly has its drawbacks depending on the way you run your life, the way you run your family, whether or not you have children, and all the stuff that goes with working at home. I get it. I've had big offices with 17 staff. I've traveled most of my life speaking all over the world, and for the past few years have worked from home in an office. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas based on my own experience and what I perceive and where I believe the world is heading to, and how you can turn what might seem drawback now or might seem, not so great now, that is something really positive for the future. But really, this is about your own personal empowerment and your own personal growth. So let's get into it right now. I've got quite a few of you on here. Good to see so many of you. Let's jump in. I'm going to read out the question and then I'm going to give you some ideas. So for you girls, make sure you got your diary. I'm going to give good stuff. I'm going to read out the question now from Suzette. I don't know if you're on here, but this is one of the questions that came in from one of you ladies. Obviously, I've changed the name. Amanda, I am working full-time from home because of the global crisis, but I can't seem to stay focused. I like my work, but I'm not as motivated like when I'm at the office with my team. I really miss the interaction and I'm worried things won't go back to normal. Please advise. This is an awesome question. It's not just your normal common question. Like I said, most people are not used to working at home, and it is a real shift in the way they run their life. So I'm going to go through 10 different ideas here. That's why you need your journal. But I'm going to flip it on its side because I've been on both sides of the fence. I've had 33 jobs and I've also run and started 14 different businesses, I beg your pardon. So I understand from both sides of the fence what it feels like to have to take control of my own life. And I've been the employee worried about my job. I've been a subcontractor worried about my job, but I've also been a business owner 14 different times. And I want to open it up with this quote. President J.F. Kennedy once said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." I'm going somewhere with that. Also, I want to bring up something about what Napoleon Hill talks about in all of his books, the golden rule. Give me a sign here or a symbol if you know what the golden rule is, because I'm going to share it with you. The golden rule is, Napoleon Hill says, doing more than paid for or expected. If you do that, you will never ever be out of work, and you can name your price. I really want you to take notice of what Napoleon Hill says there. You can name your price. So whether you're sitting on this side of the fence or this side of the fence, thinking about those two quotes from world leaders, world leading philosophers, you've got to ask yourself where you sit in that mix. And so I'm going to go through these 10 items now that you can write down. Morning, ladies who have just joined us. If I was sitting in your shoes, Suzette, and I have many times, I would first of all, if you need to say that the language is the motivation, I need the motivation. We need to turn the motivation into inspiration, because here's the truth. And I always say on my podcast, this is raw, real, and relatable stuff. I'm not here to bullshit anyone. I am a realist in business, and I've been around, let me tell you, around the traps for a few years, but I really think this is the time in history that we'll never see again, and the time to rise in our own way, not only as a collective inside the right communities, but as an individual, because I truly believe, just like in a war, there will be casualties where people will find it very difficult to get back into the workforce. They'll have so much time between now and when things get back to what we might call normal, but I don't believe they will ever go back to normal. That's my personal perception. So what happens while you're at home trying to work and hold on to your job? First of all, I think that things need to change with the way we think about, if we need motivation at work, we've got to ask ourselves the question, why do I need that motivation? Why do I not feel inspired to do my work? The most easiest way to turn motivation into inspiration, just for those who don't know the difference, motivation is when you need outside encouragement, outside, not force, but outside constant encouragement to keep going. A little bit like a personal trainer. When I was a personal trainer, I was a motivational personal trainer. Get down and give me 20 gorgeous. Right, now you're going to do 20 squats. That is motivation. When you're constantly cajoling someone into doing something for their benefit, okay? Not against their will, but for their benefit. Inspiration comes from within. Inspired meaning inner desire to do something. So if you are an employee or you're a contractor, here's what I do. Link 20 benefits of your job or your career to how it fulfills the life that you love or your highest values. So think about that. If your highest values are socializing, your health, and maybe your relationships, how is the job that you have a benefit in those three highest values? I'm not talking about society's values. I'm talking about your own inner values. And what I would do from that is, what would be 10 drawbacks for you as an employee working from home? What are 10 drawbacks if you had to go back to the way things were? Go back to the office where you had the same team around you, you had the same gossip going on, you had the same mundane routine in some ways. What would be 10 drawbacks to you if you needed to go back to that job? Now, not many people out there are asking these questions. Most people are sitting around, and this is not a judgment, it's my observation. Not most, I won't say most people, but millions of people are sitting around waiting for things to go back to normal. They will never go back to normal. And so how do we come together as an employee, a contractor, and an owner of a company? How do we make it right so that we can move forward together? Okay, and this is where now we've got to come together as a team and not look at it like a hierarchy where there's one down here and one up here, not one in the pit and one up on a pedestal here. We've got to band together. So that's the very first thing I would do. If I was an employee, link the benefits of me having a job that serves my highest three values. And then the drawbacks, if with things to go back to the same way that they always were, how would that not be a benefit for me? Here's what Jim Rohn says, and I just love, love, love this quote. I live by it. He says, "Don't wish things were easier. Wish you were better." Now that is worth writing down in your journal. And I always ask myself, how can I be better? How can I change the way I think, change the way I feel about life, change the way I feel about my job, for instance, the people I work for, the people I serve? How can I be better so that this is not the same mundane thing day in, day out? I'm growing, people are growing, I'm serving more. And it just feels so much brighter. There is a brighter future when you start to turn the thinking around from asking what a company can do for you, not what you can do for a company. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. The second thing I'm going to do here or share with you, ladies, you're going to need a journal. I'm going to give you 10 ideas. I'm leaning in here. Great to see so many of you on here because this is real stuff. I mean, this what we're going through right now is rubber meeting the road. And not many people want to talk about it. Not many people address it, but I'm going to because I am in the space of being a business owner with staff that I don't want to let go. I want to help them grow so that for the future, we can have a brighter future together. Number 2, before you go to bed at night, now you're working at home, the business is all shut down. Before you go to bed at night, in your diary, define in order of importance your top 5 to 7 priority actions that would meet an objective specifically. So if your boss or your company has given you a specific role to fulfill at home, that's the objective. Each night before you go to bed, you write down the top 5 to 7 priority actions that would meet that objective. Now, if you do that before you go to sleep in your diary, and we talk about the power of using a diary all the time, when you wake up in the morning, you are not laying there thinking, what am I going to do today? I don't feel motivated. You're already motivated because you've linked how your job is fulfilling your highest values. You've already talked about how it would be a drawback going back to the old job, the old way. And now you know what your objective is and your priorities. Can you see how it starts to soothe the mind and calm what some people would say anxiety, stress, worry? Because at the end of the day, what I'm sharing with you is to ease it and soothe your thinking. So that's the second thing that I would do. When you wake up in the morning, you know what you've got to do. The third thing, and this is a critical component to your day, you must take care. Well, I won't say you must because now I sound like a dictator or a school teacher, but this is how strongly I feel about it, especially watching the current global state of people's health. You must take care of you for the first 30 to 60 minutes of every day. Now, some people are going to, disagree with what I say and, say, you're self-righteous and all that sort of stuff. But here's what I know. Without your health, there is no wealth. Without your health, there is no business, there is no job, there is no future. And so you can see that you are the business, whether you're an employee, the subby, or the owner, you are the business. The first 30 to 60 minutes of every day, even if you've got children, they can get involved. Get the magic outfit on, girls. Breakfast first. Well, working out, perhaps. Taking care of your personal empowerment, your breakfast. They're the top 3 things that I would do every single morning. I've done it for most of my life. I never turn the phone on to look at anything except personal development, which I plug in. I go straight to the gym. I go straight to the beach for a run, whatever I'm into, have my breakfast. Then the 4th thing that I would do if I was working from home, because this is all leading somewhere, have a shower and get dressed for success. No matter what anyone tells you, you have a different state of thinking, a different vibration, a different energy when you have a shower and you dress for the day. Now, some people are excited about working from home at the moment, and I totally understand that. They're in their board shorts or their pajamas, or they don't feel like doing their hair, brushing their teeth. I get it. I've had days like that as well. We're all human, right? However, if that becomes a habit, what happens over time is you start to think differently about yourself, and whatever you project returns. So you basically you bring into your life, or you manifest into your life, what energy and what thoughts and the way you feel, which is the most important thing, out into the ether. So you attract who you are. Now, right throughout Millionairess, I talk about standards. You've got to ask yourself, when you're working from home, what are your personal standards? And do they match the company's standards? So the company that you work for will have a certain set of standards. When you go home to work, and you may be home now for 6 months, maybe you'll never go back to the office, because maybe that office or that job may never open its doors again, but you've still got to match the standards of the company that you work for. So when that, if their standards are at a 10, you match your standards at home to a 10, because the vibration needs to be there. If their standards are at a 7, you'll have your standards. But the thing is this: if you want success in your life, and you never want to wake up worried about money, about a job, about a career, about a business, then we need to make these personal changes. We need to take personal responsibility. As I said, that's what JFK said. Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. So what would I do then? Number 5, we're up to number 5 out of number 10. I'm going kind of on a rampage, but you get the drift. You can see I'm speaking from my heart. I have your highest intentions at heart, because we're all going through this together, and we're all pivoting and learning and growing at the same time. If you can't keep up with your employee, that's when you're going to find yourself in a spot about bother. So don't look at working at home like it's a little holiday and you can take advantage. That would be the last thing that I would be thinking about, especially in this time. Number 5, give me a sign, girls, as this is helping you, and should I keep going with this? Am I too, what would you call me, forthcoming, perhaps? Anyway, you know I love you. Number 5, the next thing I would do if I was now moved to home, have an organized space specifically in your home where you work. It needs to be light, it needs to be airy, and you don't mind being in that space. So you need to make a corner. Now, it doesn't matter how big or small your home is, make a corner that matches the standards of where you've come from, okay? If you don't help yourself, your company in the end won't be able to help you, because you'll fall backwards. And this is really, I guess, my whole rampage today, is helping you not fall backwards mentally, emotionally, and physically and spiritually, while the company is trying to stay open, trying to keep the doors open, trying to hold on to what they've got with no money coming in. That's what I would do. So you need to have that organized space where you turn up and you do the work that you've been paid for, and then you move away from it at the end of the day or when you're finished. Here's the big thing. As I said, we've had offices, we've worked all around the place, worked from home for the past maybe 4 or 5 years. This is the biggest problem we had. People turning up, ringing up, getting on social media, all throughout the day, interrupting. Now, here's what I know. Every single time we are interrupted, we lose a minimum of 15 minutes. Now, you think about that, whether you own the business or you work for the business, every single time you have an interruption, the brain needs a little bit of time to go backwards, to regroup what it's thinking about, listen to the message, talk about the message. Then that takes up time and space in the mind, okay? Then you've got to regroup and move on. Now, how many times a day are you interrupted, which is in essence stealing from a company, stealing from yourself? Now, I'm talking about my own personal experience here. We got to the point where we'd have people just ringing the doorbell, family members popping over for a cup of coffee, friends ringing up and saying, I'm coming down for a cuppa, I'm coming over for a glass of wine. And in the end, we had to learn to say thank you, but no thank you. I'm working. Just because you're working from home doesn't mean it's a free for all, and this is what I've had to learn. And we literally have to say to people, we cannot speak to anyone between these hours. We're working. Remember, we've got an objective up here and we've got our 5 to 7 priorities. How are you going to meet your objective and hold on to a future if you allow the outside world to rule you? And that's not easy, believe me. It's not easy. It's embarrassing sometimes. But at the end of the day, you've got to ask yourself, what's more important for me? My future, my family, income coming into the house? Because at the end of the day, what I like to talk about and teach is building that financial wall around you and your family, having a job or a business that can sustain any global downfall or upturn. And so these little things just don't seem like anything, but over time you add those 15 minutes up, and before you know it, you haven't met your objectives, not only for yourself, but for your employer. And at the same time, the employer who's trying to hold on with everything they've got because they've put their heart and soul and probably all of their money, probably their house, they've got a mortgage against their house on the line to have employees. How does that benefit them? Remember, don't look at it like they're up here and you're working for them. Look at it like you're a team. It has to be an A grade team. I could do a whole podcast on A graders, B graders, and C graders. Got to ask yourself, and I'm talking to myself here as well as you, which am I? Am I an A grader? Am I a B grader? Or am I a C grader? And if you're a B or a C grader, that's when you've got to say to yourself, like Jim Rohn says, don't wish things were easier, wish I was better. So that's what I would do there. So I can see all these comments coming in. I'll get to them in a minute. So you've got to ask your friends and family, please, between these hours, I am working. Think about it not like a job. Think about it like you are working for your family. Turn the tides. It is not a job that you have. You have a responsibility for you and your family. Go, this is my family that I've got to think about. And another thing that I want to say now for number 7. We're up to 7 out of 10. You still with me, girls? I just saw some sort of face come across. I don't know if it was an angry one or what. I guess I'm ruffling a few feathers today. Girls, am I ruffling a few feathers? I hope so. Again, raw, real, and relatable this podcast is. I don't sugarcoat too much. Number 7, only take breaks when needed and turn this into a game within yourself. Time yourself to see how long you last without social interruption. Now, this is a great question that Suzette has come in with, because this is really covering so many aspects of you working from home. Whether you're the owner or the employee, it does not matter. I play the game with myself. How long can I go without getting up, playing with the dog, having a cup of tea? I've really got to work on myself as well. Maybe you need an egg timer, and ask yourself, if I hit this goal, I'll have a cup of tea. If I hit this goal, then I can have my lunch. When I hit this goal, I can go for a walk around the block. Keep pushing yourself, just like an athlete. And I believe in the future of business, I think it's going to be a game of the fittest. And I don't believe that there's never enough. The universe expands as we expand our thinking. There's always enough for everyone. I don't see it as competition, but I do believe we need to be fit. And so only take breaks when needed. And that means for people working at home, and I have to be, tough on myself. No housework, doing your washing, all of your personal stuff. Because at the end of the day, you think you might be having a little win here and there and taking a little bit here and taking a little bit there. But truly, you've got to ask yourself, are you really having a win? I don't believe so, because I think in the future, this, everyone will need to be in their specific game. Everyone will need to ask themselves, am I an A, B, or C grade player? And those who are B and C's will need to work harder on themselves than they do their job, their business, or their career. That's what I honestly believe from my heart. And so I always say to myself, Amanda, How can you be better? How can you learn something new today? And I'm going to get to that in a moment. Number 8. Okay, number 8, little golden gem here. If you're missing your work colleague, Suzette, on anybody else listening to this, of course, we are human beings and we love human interaction. That's what we do. Why not Zoom your workmates in your lunch break? Not in the other times throughout the day where you're meeting an objective, because if you're having all this free time, you haven't set yourself enough high priorities. Are you focusing on low priorities? So Zoom your friends, talk to your friends in your lunch break. I've had quite a lot of Zoom parties myself lately, and they're a heap of fun. That's an idea. Number 9, this is so important. Maintain an attitude of gratitude, because when you have an attitude of gratitude, your worries will melt away. And so here's what I would say: at least 3 times every day, say out loud in front of a mirror or to yourself, or write it in your journal, just 5 things you are grateful for in your life. Just 5 things: your love, health, relationships, money, the vocation, which is the job you have or the business that you have, the personal growth that you are going through. We are all going through growth. Some people are going backwards, some people are going forwards. And happiness. Just 5 things 3 times a day that you are grateful for. It will ease your emotional state. It will soothe your thinking, and you won't be polarized in thinking that you just want one side of life, wanting it to go back to what it was, because it's never going to go back. It's kind of like a big rubber band, right? Attitude of gratitude will give you a winning life in every way, shape, or form. Because when you appreciate your life, when you appreciate what we already have and what's going on, you find the benefits, not just the drawbacks in something. You are growing and expanding, and it opens up your mind. And this is what I want to talk about now, the last point that I want to talk about. Number 10. And this leads on from that gratitude mentality. Nothing will ever be the same again. However, if I was sitting in the shoes of a business owner, which I am, whether I was an employee or a subcontractor, here's what I would do. When I do my gratefuls, I want to tap into my imagination. Take a few moments out, maybe 5 or 10 moments a day, do some meditation, and open your mind and ask yourself, how can I turn what seems the impossible to possible? Now, especially if you are an employee and you're worried for the future, not because you've done anything wrong, simply because your employer will never be able to open their business again. And unfortunately, it is just the truth. And there will be so many businesses that go broke as a result of what we're going through. And so many wonderful and incredible employees, people with so much talent out of work. And that's the real unfortunate thing here. So here's what I'll do if I was sitting in your space, and here's what I do each and every day. I would think about how I could make myself obsolete. I would think about how I could sack myself. Wait for it, I'm going somewhere with this. How could I sack myself? Going back to the Napoleon Hill's golden rule: do more than is expected, more than you paid for. You'll never be out of work, and then you can eventually name your price. If anyone hasn't read Napoleon Hill's golden rule, do yourself a favor. It will change your life and change your attitude towards the way you see life forever. And I would ask myself, okay, if I'm sitting here worried about my position, what is every single job that I do throughout my day really something that I could delegate, I could delete it, and I could automate it? And I know in my heart and soul that the people that I'm working for, or the company that I'm working for, the business I'm working for, really it is a waste of their money that I'm doing this particular role day in, day out. And I would write down a list of everything that I know is under the value that I'm getting paid. Then I would write down all the lists, a whole list of every hurdle and problem that I come up with throughout my day in my job or my business. And I would then match that to 3 solutions. And then I would ask myself, how now can I give more, to become more, to have more? I will never ever lose a position. If you go to your people that you work for and you say, I've come up with a way that we can pivot in the business. I've come up with 3 solutions to every problem that I've been having in my job for the last X amount of years or months. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to look at you and say to themselves, wow, this person is an A-grade player. This person we can't do without. This person we need to find a way through what is going on right now. We have to even close our business for the next 6 months. How do we keep these people? And that's what I would honestly say. How do I become more to have more? And I always say it. This journey in life, in business, in every area of our life is not about what we get. This journey is about who we become. And what the thing is with success in every way, shape and form, success, the greatest gift for becoming successful, whatever that looks like and means for you, is the person that you have to become to have the success that you want in reality. And so that's what I would say. If you're sitting at home now, Suzette, and for anyone listening, anyone who's worrying about their future, turn your attention inwards, do some meditation, think about tapping into your imagination, because that is the gateway to the future. It is so powerful. Turn problems to solutions, and then ask yourself, how can I be more to serve more and to ensure the future, not only for myself, but my family and everything that I want in my life? And that's what I believe is the answer to your question there. And I truly hope that this has helped you. And, the final question that I ask myself each and every day before I go to bed, how can I grow my own self-worth, my net worth, and my life worth by giving more than I'm paid to do? And that goes for every single human being, whether you're the company owner or you work within the company structure. That quote or that sentence or that question is what I ask myself each and every day. So ladies, that there is my big rampage this morning. I truly hope you gleaned gold from that and you really took to heart where it was coming from within me. I get these questions and I can feel people's fear all around me. We're having to pivot. We're having to go through so many changes, ask different questions, think about different strategies. Remember, success, 80% of success is an inside job. 20% is tactic and strategy. This is not just a tactic and strategy job for the future. This is an inside job. And that's why I say the fittest will survive. We all need to ask ourselves, how can we become A-grade players? And we all know, even I know when I'm being a B or a C-grade player, because they won't last. That's my honest belief. You may or may not agree with that. Please leave a comment on what you felt today, because here's the indication. Here's what I want you to really remember from the end of this. It's our words will not speak louder than the way we feel. Our words mean nothing. Only our actions speak for themselves. And so each and every day, when you finish your day, you've just got to ask yourself, did I do all that I could today with all that I had? And that is the question I go to sleep at night asking myself. Did I do all that I could with everything that I had? If you can truly answer the word yes, then you've done your piece. So ladies, that is it for me today. Leave a comment if this is helping. And also leave a question. That was a great question. Thanks, Suzette, whoever you are on this call. If you have a question around any of the 7 areas of your life, any struggles, any worries, anything that you would love to ask, pop a comment in. I will change the name as always, because it gives me great content for these podcasts and I have your highest interests at heart. Really appreciate all of you being on here. Love each and every one of you. You have a fabulous Tuesday, and I will be back this week with another entertaining rampage, I have no doubt. But remember, if you have a question, pop it in. I'm here to answer it for you and soothe your mind in any way I can. Have a fabulous Tuesday, ladies. Mwah. And I will see you on the inside the Millionairess Mastermind. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast. I truly hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, Suzette, for sending in your question that I have zero doubt that millions of us may benefit from. Till next week, I appreciate you tuning in to the Gday Gorgeous podcast that is dedicated to turning entrepreneurial women into a millionairess on the inside out, enriching lives for generations to come. And of course, I would be super grateful if you'd please share this podcast with your family, your friends, others that you know would truly, truly benefit from the golden information that we share that is real, raw, and relatable. Lastly, to find out more about my Millionairess mentoring for entrepreneurial women, my latest book, Inspirational Stories, please pop over. Visit us at Gday Gorgeous, Gday Gorgeous.com. And of course, till next week, thank you. Be bold, be courageous, and even more fabulous. Bye for now.